Hi, I'm Kylie Mattu, and welcome to Wealthy Millionaire. Today we're going to talk about VA loans, Veteran Affairs. But first, I'm not a mortgage broker or a real estate agent, so always be sure to reach out to a professional before making any financial decisions. Are you a military member or a veteran looking to buy a home? If so, there's a special mortgage loan known as a VA loan. These loans offer competitively low interest rates, don't require a down payment, and have low closing costs. Keep watching to learn more about VA loans and how this mortgage type can help you finance your dream home. Let's take a look at the eligibility for VA loans. Unlike most mortgage loans, VA loans are backed by the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. VA loans are specially designed to benefit active duty and veteran military members. Aside from military members and veterans, these loans may benefit some surviving spouses. If you're a surviving spouse of a veteran who died while in service or from a service-related disability and are not remarried, you are eligible for a VA loan. To be eligible for a VA loan, you must meet one of these criteria. Let's take a look. You must be on active duty or have served for 90 continuous days. You're a veteran who meets length of service requirements. You completed 90 days of active duty service or 6 credible years in the National Guard or selected reserve. You are a surviving spouse who remarried after December 16, 2003 or the age of 57. You are the spouse of a military member, veteran, prisoner of war, or person missing in action. Even if you don't meet the length of service requirements, you may still qualify for a VA loan. For example, if you were discharged for a service-related disability, you may still be eligible. The best way to determine your eligibility for a VA loan is to contact the VA. So how do you apply for a VA loan? Well, applying for a VA loan is as simple as finding a lender that offers this type of loan. Most lenders, including credit unions, traditional banks, and online banks, offer VA loans. This process is much like applying for any other type of mortgage. You'll fill out an application and provide information about your employment, income, assets, and other financial records. The only additional document that you'll need to supply is a VA certificate of eligibility. This certificate is provided by the Department of Veterans Affairs and is proof that you meet the eligibility requirements for the VA loan. VA loan qualifications: credit, debt, and income. As with any other mortgage application, your lender will analyze your credit, debt, and income to determine if you qualify for a VA loan. These factors will also determine the interest rate that you're going to receive. Let's take a look at some of the credit requirements. The VA doesn't have a minimum credit score for military members and veterans to be eligible for the VA loan. However, a VA mortgage lender can set their own standards for a minimum FICO score. Most lenders are looking for a score no lower than the mid-600s. If your score is below 630, it's best to increase it before applying for the VA loan. Your lender will also look at your credit report to ensure that you have a history of making payments on time. They'll also take a look at your debt-to-income ratio. The maximum debt-to-income ratio for a VA mortgage is 41%. However, if you have a higher DTI ratio, you may still be approved if you have sufficient residual income. This is the money that's left after the mortgage payment to pay for basic living expenses. If you have a high DTI ratio, pay down debt to drop your percentage. Once you're below 41%, you can apply for a VA loan. Depending on your financial and credit situation, having a VA mortgage loan cosigner may also improve your chances of getting approved. So what are the VA loan down payment requirements? Most VA loans don't have a minimum down payment. However, if the home's purchase price is higher than the appraised value, you'll have to make up some of the difference with your down payment to lower the loan to value ratio. You may also be required to make a down payment if the home you're buying exceeds VA loan limits or the county loan limit. Additionally, when purchasing a home in a competitive market, having a down payment may be required to secure a home. If there are more buyers than sellers, you can get into a bidding situation. To show you're a serious buyer, you'll have to pay a deposit. The good news is that putting some money down will more than likely reduce the VA funding fee you'll pay at closing and save you interest over the life of the loan. VA loan property requirements. The house you buy must meet the VA's minimum property requirements. So this means that the home must be structurally sound, safe, and sanitary. Here are some requirements to be mindful of. Working HVAC system, adequate roofing, safe and sanitary sewage disposal, no lead-based paint, no wood-destroying insects, dry rot, or fungus, properly vented and accessible attics and crawl spaces. To ensure a property meets VA loan requirements, your lender will hire a VA-approved home appraiser. They will ensure that the home meets minimum property requirements while also estimating the home's market value. Eligibility for other VA loans and grants. Aside from VA mortgage loans, the VA also offers a housing grant for service members, veterans, and members with service-related disabilities. The VA also offers home loans for Native Americans. Let's take a look at disability grants. Disability housing grants can be used to buy or modify a home to meet a service member or veteran-specific needs. To be eligible for any of these grants, you must have a qualifying service-related disability. You can apply for these grants on the VA website or by downloading a VA Form 26-4555. Once completed, send it to your nearest regional VA loan center. The Specially Adapted Housing Grant is used to modify a home that you or a family member own or plan to buy in the future. The Temporary Residence Adaptation Grant is used for a family member's home that will be in a temporary residence. Then there's the Native American Direct Loan. The Native American Direct Loan is available to help Native Americans buy, build, improve, or refinance homes. To be eligible, homes must be located on federal trust land. The loan is available to members of specific Native American tribes and their spouses. The direct loan also applies to residents of Pacific Island territories and Alaska Native corporations. To apply, confirm that your community is a member of the NDAL program. You can then apply for a VA certificate of eligibility in your state's regional loan center. Now let's take a look at some frequently asked questions. How do I apply for a VA guaranteed loan? You can apply for a VA loan with any mortgage lender involved in the VA Home Loan Program. A certificate of eligibility will need to be provided to the lender to prove you are eligible for a VA loan. Another question, how do I get a certificate of eligibility? You will need to complete a VA Form 26-1880 or request for a certificate of eligibility. Once you have completed VA Form 26-1880, you can submit it to your RLC or VA Regional Loan Center along with proof of military service. In some cases, it may be possible for VA to establish eligibility without your proof of service. However, to avoid any possible delays, it's best to provide such evidence. Can my lender get my certificate of eligibility for me? The answer is yes, by process called WebLGY. Most lenders will have access to the WebLGY system. This web-based application can establish eligibility and issue an online certificate of eligibility. Some cases may not be processed via WebLGY due to insufficient data. What is acceptable proof of military service? If you are still serving or on active duty, you must include an original statement of service signed by a professional officer or commander of your unit or higher headquarters, which identifies you and your social security number, which provides you date of entry on your current active duty period and the duration of any time lost. If you were discharged from regular active duty after January 1st, 1950, a copy of DD Form 214, Certificate of Release or Discharge from Active Duty, should be included with your VA Form 26-1880. If you were discharged after October 1st, 1979, DD Form 214 Copy 4 should be included. A photocopy of DD 214 is suffice. Do not submit an original document. How can you obtain proof of military service? You will need to complete a standard Form 180, request pertaining to military records. As proof of military service, regardless of whether you served on regular active duty or in the selected reserves. Please keep in mind that this request form is not processed by VA, rather be mailed to appropriate custodian of military service records. I have already obtained one VA loan. Can I get another one? The answer is yes. Your eligibility is reusable depending on the circumstances. If you have paid off your prior VA loan and either sold or disposed of your property, you can have your used eligibility restored. On a one-time only basis, you may have your eligibility restored if your prior VA loan has been paid in full, but you still own the property. To obtain restoration of eligibility, the veteran must send a completed VA Forms 26-1880 to their respective RCL. It is advisable to include proof that the prior loan has been paid in full and, if applicable, the property disposed of. Next question. My prior loan has been paid in full even though I don't own the property anymore. Can I still obtain a VA home loan? The answer is yes, depending on the circumstances. If a veteran has used a portion of his or her eligibility and the used portion cannot be restored, any partial remaining eligibility would be available for use. Lender will have to assess whether the remaining balance would be sufficient for the loan amount sought after and whether any down payment would be required. I hope you enjoyed this episode on VA loans. I'm Kylie Mattu. Thank you for watching Wealthy Millionaire. And remember, the more you save, the more you earn.